The WWC, what the world is watching.
We are back in our tech series for our fourth part, dealing with our second part of power and valor. Let's get into it.
600 plus days of last war grinding, battles fought, lessons learned, strategies mastered. When we talk, you level up. Welcome to the Warzone Wrecking Crew.
Welcome into the WWC QB18 here, and it has been a while before we were talking about our Tech Series 3 and we started our power discussions that we need to now pick it up and get into the bottom branches of our tech. If you are here, congratulations. That means you are playing the game. You're enjoying the game, I hope, and you are progressing quite well through your tech branch. So let's jump into it and take a look at some of the things we want to talk about today, which is siege to siege, defense fortifications. We have 3 masteries, and we have our tactical. In between, we have the Age of Oil, which I'll briefly just touch on, but more for a future video when we talk about that. Not a whole lot of power that's listed in there, but we'll get into that. So, what are we doing here, folks? Well, previously we talked about you were doing your hero and your units. You should have been progressing through that nicely, completing your alliance duel, which is important, and then working through your special forces. I had asked that you go through slow through special forces. A lot of people like to push fast through T10 and instead go slow through there, and I explained why. If you do not know why, please go into our part 3 series. I go into a whole explanation of why, and I don't want to touch on that again. And if you went fast, it's okay. It's your game, your account. Do as you wish. So first thing we come into here are siege, defense, and our mastery, right? So I'm going to pretend that this is my account, because it is. And then I'm going to tell you that I have a T1, which is missile, and a T2, which is aircraft, okay? And that's team, by the way, team 1 and my team 2. So, yes, siege and defense I have shown in battle reports. You can see in our 3.5 how important that they are as we move forward and do them. So it is very important that we take into account that we want to complete them. In their top part here, this is going to be 5% increases when you are the attacker. So in PvP battles, as the attacker, hero defense increases, right? So these are all going to be for the attacker for 5%, 10%, and finally 15%. You're going to see some non-power items, for the squad movements, your drill ground expansion and capacity. Again, your drill ground. This is to build an extra drill ground, so it's only one that you have to worry about. This is to actually expand that drill ground capacity. So I'm going to take into account that we're only going to get the minimum power out of these items, right? Because that's what everybody wants to talk about. You have to worry about me completing them all. You only have to get the minimum amount of capacity. So what is that? When you look at somebody's battle report and you want to know, am I going against somebody that get the minimum capacity out of there, or did you get the minimum capacity? That's what we're going to look like. That's what we're going to look at. So that's this branch of siege. Then we have our defense fortifications that we look at here. That is going to be when you're the defender, your hero defense is going to increase 5% up top, 10% in the middle, and 15% over here. Important, you're also going to have some gold increases and troop movement, and then you're going to have some incredibly important pieces, which is an additional hospital. You're going to have your death rate at the drill ground. It decreases the unit death rate. And then you're also going to have the decrease the death rate of your units in the world map PvP battles. So they're all incredibly important as we move through these items, and how you defend, how you attack, move forward. And then mastery comes into play as well. So we have 3 different masteries. Masteries are incredibly important. If you do not work on your masteries, your team is going to be empty. Like you're going to have nothing behind it. It's really at this point when somebody else completes their mastery and somebody else doesn't, it shows easily you'll lose the battle to somebody that may be weaker than you. So you want to make sure you're working on your mastery. Now, a few different things. Mastery does become expensive. It does take a long time, a lot of valor, and resources to do, and it is incredibly worth it. So again, you're going to find here for the masteries, you have 1.5% increases. You're going to end up with 7.5%, 1.5% again, and then 7.5%. So these are your increases as you move through mastery, and you can increase it how you want. I do want you to target completing this at 100%. Okay, so that is our goal. Now we know we need to complete 100% mastery, and we need to complete 100% siege and defense. All right, so first, how are we going to do this? What I would suggest as you move through is the first thing you want to do before getting into mastery. The first thing I would do is pop into defense and unlock my hospital. It's the first item. It's very easy to do. That's what you want to get into. Your second thing you want to do is work on siege and get to build your extra drill grounds. So you want to complete all these so you can get down here and build your extra drill grounds. Those are your first two steps that you should be doing. So you get the extra hospital and you get the extra drill ground. Now it's okay to come in and do some missile mastery. Up top, there's a few items that you can do to just get it started up here, right? And then what you're going to want to do is find a balance of doing them back and forth. There is no real, what I have done as I work through mastery was I would do the minimum to unlock the next step. And then I would keep moving my way down and take trips. I would do it 20% at a time. So I did all the way down. I did 20% of mastery, and then I would come back up and start the next 20% of mastery. And I would break it down into 5 waves of 20%, 40, 60, 80, like that. That's how I completed both of my masteries so far that I've done. And this one's almost, my aircraft is got a couple items left, and I'll be done with my second. What I would do after you finish your first 20% in mastery is you can come in and chip away at your siege. So you could do the same exact thing if you like, take a few items and complete them. It's not as big as mastery, you'll find. And then I would also do similar to defense fortifications. So you're completing them at the same time. They all work on your T1, whatever that may be. So you want to make sure that you're completing all 3 of these in more of a triangle basis of what you want to do for your with your Valor. Okay, so you build them up and you get the percentages up. Now, what our target we know for missile mastery is 100%. So what are we targeting finishing siege and defense? Well, that brings us to one of our partners, Captain Hedgehog. I highly recommend the website. It's cpt-hedge.com. There are so many cool things about this, and we partnered with Captain Hedgehog because he has been around for so long. He has all amazing information and calculators available. He has maps for all the seasons, detailed information for all the seasons, events and guides and buildings. So many things over on this website that we love. So we appreciate our partnership with him. And one of the things that he has is also tech calculators. Before I get into the tech calculator, quick plug for Warzone Wrecking Crew. We have built a website. I don't know if you knew that, but warzoneWreckingCrew.com is here to upload all your fight videos. So you click on this, you enter your Warzone name, your server number, the event, and upload your fight video, where we will edit that video, put it to some music, and put it on our website. If your server submits many videos, we will actually give you your own server playlist, where your own server can point to and use those for fighting and maybe showing recruits. Uh-oh, you trying to recruit? Maybe you want some fight videos to show everybody. Send it on over. There's also a link in the top left of our website to our YouTube. You can go to our Discord, the Warzone Wrecking Crew Discord, or you can contact us and send us an email whenever you want. Back to our calculators. So in here, let's look at the percentage that you should be when you go into research. I'm going to go calculators, buildings, and research. Click on research. He has all the awesome research in here, the costs of the research and everything for calculators if you want to know. So this is where people are going to get called out. Let's go into Siege first. I have completed the minimum that you need to in order to do Siege. So that would be the final 10 out of 10, these 10 out of 10. This has to be 6 in order to move on. This drill ground expansion has to be 1. These have to be 10. These have to be 1, 1, 10, and 1. Those are the minimums that you need in order to complete Siege. That means when you look at somebody's battle report and it says under 73%, they did not get all the power they can out of Siege to Seize. Let's look at the same thing when we go into our defense. I pre-completed that to the minimums that we should have. So if we come down, we have our 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 4 for March, 1 for the resource protection, 10 for counter defense, 1 healing, 1 expansion, 10, all 10s, and the 1 for the hospital would put you at 78% complete. So minimum of getting all the power out of this to protect yourself would be 78% complete. Now, I just want to touch on real quick, I've shared this in part 3.5 of our tech series, and I really wanted to touch on one thing for how important that is to protect your base. So one of the things that we tried to do here is show you how to get stronger in your T1 and any overage to go to T2. Defense fortifications are there because we don't want to see you get burned through. The big thing is you don't want to have your base burn. Your target is to make, you can lose a fight, but you don't want to have your base burned and go through your wall. If somebody's going to burn through your wall, then you might as well not protect and you get the heck out of there and port to a different spot so nobody can attack you. But if you don't, we don't want to have you lose additional resources, which happens. We don't want to have you lose additional drill ground troops. A lot of things happen when somebody's hitting you. Also, if you can withstand somebody in fighting in the wall, then you're really able to kill their troops. So go to the battle port, go to the statistics, the last tab, and you'll see that they're the ones that are dying when they're attacking you. Incredibly important. So you really want to do that, which goes into talking about your death rate, their death rate, all things that are really important as you figure out how to battle and fight. But that is for a different video. We're going to focus on tech. That is just a reason why I want to make sure you're completing this. So remember, 78% and 73% are these two. Now, why did I bring those two numbers up? It's so you can figure out when you're doing 100% of your mastery and you're breaking it in at 20%, maybe you want to do 20% of that 73% and 20% of that defense fortification. And then you come back and do another 20% of the missile mastery or whatever mastery you're doing, and you're completing it. That's what I would recommend. But bottom line is, when you're done with missile mastery, don't move on to the other masteries. You can start your second mastery because you need to complete 80% of it, but I really want to see you get your team 1 as high as you can, and that is 73% and 78%. Okay? That's how we complete our triangle. So I'm going to move ahead, thinking that you finished now the 100% of the missile mastery and your siege and your defenses are now complete. We have our second mastery need to work on, and that's really important. I need you to work on your second mastery because in order to open up tactical weapon, you're going to have to complete 180% of your next mastery. Now, what you're going to do is what I say, not is what I do. If you are low spend and you are free to play and you are, if you're free to play, low spend, mid spend, really, you only need to work on your second team mastery. You're not going to get to a third team to use probably for a long, long time. So I don't want you to waste doing mastery. Now, some would say you can do it cheaper to get the tactical weapon if you split up the masteries. That is true. But let's talk about usefulness and how we're going to build for a long future. I don't need you to be 60% in air mastery and 40% in tank because you're probably never going to use your tank team if that's how you have your third team. If your air is your number 1, your tank's your number 2, then don't bother completing your missile mastery in that case. Like, just complete a second team. That's going to be most useful for you moving forward. Now, I will say, once you hit 80%, this is where I want you to do as I say, not as I do. I want you to immediately shift to tactical weapon. I don't want you to go to 81%, 82% in the mastery. There's no need. For all the way from free to play to mid spenders, you guys are really focusing on your T1s, right? And in order to complete your T1s, it's got to be in tactical. Many ways to get it here. You can now jump in, and this is 7.5% hero defense boost. You're going to see the same for attack, and you're going to see the same for hero hit points. Those are big percentages that you want to grab. So come immediately into here and start completing your tactical weapon. I don't need to tell you how far to go. I can show you how much they are. But the problem is going to be for you is you're going to see how expensive it gets as you move through tactical weapon. I really don't mind going as far as you want to here because it's your team 1, and that's what I want you to make high. It's also, though, your team 2. So rather than go in and complete the other mastery, you're going to be pushing your tactical weapon as much as you can. I will say, as soon as you deem it, I'm not going to tell you that threshold. You can continue to work on tactical for the rest of your time if you want. But really, you're probably going to find that it's too expensive. It gets very long to work on, and you might not even have enough Valor to continue doing it if you continue to push through, as expensive as it gets for resources and speed ups. And that may be where you run out of things. So you might want to shift over and complete that second mastery that you have at 80%. You then maybe want to push that last 20% and kind of split your time between mastery and tactical to give yourself a little relief as you move forward. But make no mistake, you're really going to be pushing tactical as far as you can from here until eternity because it is your T1 and you're going to get your T2 out of it as a bonus. All right. As I told you, speaking of bonuses, I will get into Age of Oil for a little bit here. Although we were talking about power, it is incredibly important to do your Age of Oil because it's going to give you your headquarters 35. That is going to be here. But before you get here in your headquarters 35, which is going to allow you to get bonuses when you get headquarters 35 of many different things, including T11s. Oh, that magic T11 everybody wants. You need to get headquarters 35. Like the special forces tree that I talked to you about, and you want to rush through and get it. What I will tell you is, please make sure you do a lot of the things along the way. And number 1 being all of your oil wells need to be created, right? And your oil well output needs to be maxed as you move forward. So please, when you open up your wells, also max this out for the maximum on your output, and then do your headquarters. The things that are in here are very valuable. As you move through, you have your increase your research speed. You can you get the drone parts, the drone parts workshop. You can get a lot of things that are an improvement. Emergency center capacity. So many things that are in here that you're going to want, including an additional tech center, which you're going to go right through and create as you move through that tech. So many things that might not be power initially are very important in here. You want to get. And then while we're talking about it, I will say, push your oil wells as fast as you can to 35, because the minute that you get the Age of Oil, you're going to want to start your oil, but you're going to now use that oil through in the future to do your T11s, to do many things. So the faster you get those oil wells to 35, the more your base can produce of oil for the long. There's a big return on investment there, which is why I tell you your output of oil is incredibly important to get to 10, as much as it is the headquarters 35. All right. So that is going to be our tech series 4. I will follow up this series with what I had promised in series 3, which is going to be a helper for gathering resources in the different spots that you can get your resources, because you'll need plenty of those as you move forward all of this. And then we'll finish our series off with a non-power look at the tech. Ew, no power. Yeah, but it's major, and it's really important that you also take into account where those things are coming from. All right. Thank you all for joining. Appreciate you taking the time. QB18 out.